Thank you. Really excited to be here today. I'm going to talk about our thesis for crypto AI. We called it the distributed rebellion, and that'll make a little bit more sense to you as I get into it. First, I want to introduce you to kind of what we've been up to at Delphi at this intersection of crypto and AI. At Delphi Digital, our research company, we've published 4 really comprehensive reports covering the entire landscape of decentralized AI. We've open sourced these, so they're available to anyone. I highly recommend you go check them out. We'll continue to cover this sector very deeply. At Delphi Ventures, we've been investing in this space for quite a bit of time. We're up to about 20 investments, and we were one of the earlier funds to start underwriting in this sector, and we continue to actively deploy capital and lead rounds. And then just recently, we concluded our Crypto AI Month. We had about 15 events with a lot of the thought leaders in this space covering a whole bunch of the relevant topics. Those were all recorded. They're available online. Again, something you can check out. I guess just to sum it up, we had a lot of conviction in crypto AI very early on, and that conviction has only since grown. And then at Delphi Labs, we're really excited to partner with Near on this crypto AI accelerator cohort. We've got 8 great teams that we're working with right now. You'll hear about many of them throughout this week, and couldn't be more excited. We're going to have a demo day next month that showcases all of these projects. Again, very excited for what we have going on. And then before we started this accelerator cohort, we are very thesis-driven at what we do and where we spend our time at Delphi Labs. So we took our time to think about crypto and AI from a builder perspective. And that's where we developed our thesis, the distributed rebellion. So to just start off with a little bit of context on where we're coming from, we want to have a view of where we think the world is and where it's going. Now, some of you may recognize this chart. It's from the paper Situational Awareness, and it just plots the rate of innovation of AI as measured in orders of magnitude improvements. And the author thinks that we'll get to AGI in 4 to 5 years, and then superintelligence shortly after. Now, whether you agree with that timeline or not, it's kind of hard to argue the pace of innovation that's happening in AI right now. I think we see this on our timelines every day with lots of new developments. And so, kind of with that all, I think that this quote by the Google CEO really sums it up. It's that the risk of underinvesting in AI right now is far greater than overinvesting. And we're seeing to the tune of more than $100 billion invested annually right now. And what we know from all this is that the AI arms race is just well underway. So the question that we all have now is, which path does this take us on? Are we headed towards this utopian path on the heels of a few big tech companies, or do they lead us down this darker path? Now, the way that we see it is that the utopian path is a world where we have many models, small and large, niche and generalized, decentralized and centralized. They're all coexisting. And the point is, that gives us choice. The darker path, and I don't think I'm offending anyone here in this room, is a world where you have a couple of big tech companies that have these centralized God models. And you think about that. You think about the amount of influence that they would be able to exert if this happens. The ability to control the content and the creative output from these models. That's a pretty scary proposition. But if you're a builder, it's more than just that. If you're working in AI, and that's your world, then you have to deal with a bunch of risks. So for one, you've got rug risk. At any given time, the owners of these models, they could change, they could limit, they could restrict your access. It's really hard to build a sustainable business model with that underlying risk factor. You have cost-performance trade-offs. A lot of use cases for AI may not make sense financially to be run on these big, expensive models. And so you're just limiting the potential here. You've also got vertical integration. What's to stop the big companies from eating up more of the stack? And ultimately, they're going to pursue a strategy of maximum value creation. And we've seen this happen over time with other examples. And then, of course, you have privacy. I don't think I need to expand on that too much here. So we see a world with all of these many models as making so much more sense than relying on a couple of handful of centralized God models. Then we have to ask ourselves this question of where does crypto fit into all this? Crypto AI has been criticized a little bit for, in some cases, forcing a token where maybe it doesn't need to be. And that's fair. So let's take a step back and think about how crypto fits in from a first principles perspective. And you start with, well, what do we want? As builders and as users, we want, as I said earlier, we want choice. We want to be able to pick and choose what services we want to use to meet whatever needs that we have. And so to deliver on that choice, well, what do we need? We need infrastructure, data, routing, orchestration, payments, privacy. All of these things, this is where crypto really thrives. It's bringing these services together in a decentralized way with crypto incentive mechanisms. So crypto is a perfect fit for AI when it comes to the decentralized aspects of this many models world that we want to see. And that leads us to this decentralized AI stack. Now, I know there's some logos on this page. This isn't meant to be a comprehensive view of the crypto AI space. We think the one that Topology Ventures puts out is really good, so check that one out. This is just meant to be illustrative. And if we break it down very simply into 4 layers, at the bottom you have infrastructure. This is where we've seen a lot of the early projects bloom in crypto AI. It's where a lot of the capital has flowed. And that makes a lot of sense. If you just look at NVIDIA today, the world's most valuable company, capturing a lot of the value, that's kind of where it all starts in an early sector. Innovation is just easier to underwrite. As you move up the stack into data, that's where we see things getting pretty exciting. You can think of data as like an iceberg, where the part of the ice that's above water, that's the publicly available data. And the models today have consumed much of what exists out there. The much bigger portion that's underwater, that's private data. That's data that can be unlocked through crypto incentive mechanisms. And in fact, 3 of our 8 cohort companies are working on various data solutions that we are pretty excited about. And then moving up the stack at the model layer, you have some really interesting innovations happening here. You have things like enshrining models directly into blockchains. You have model optimizations. This is what is, I think, really more groundbreaking and where we're going to see a lot of new unlocks that open up the app layer. And at the app layer, that's where over time we see the most value accruing. We see the most exciting things that are going to be happening. And what makes the app layer for crypto AI really interesting is that you have such a large addressable market because you have all the people, all of us out here as users of these applications, and then you have all of the AI agents as potential users. And so all of this put together is what we think is the big unlock and what we have to build. And so I'll just kind of wrap things up with a few closing thoughts. The first is that it's really hard to overstate how impactful AI will be. We also can see, though, that a world where AI dominated by a few centralized models, either run by companies or worse, by the state, that's a dystopian future that we really don't want to see. What's so great and what's so important about crypto AI is that it has the opportunity to give us an alternative and actually deliver genuinely better solutions. The good news is here, we're still very early. The challenge that we all have is that there is just so much to build. So everything I've shared here today, it's available in much more detail if you read our paper. I think there's some hard copies available around here, and then it's on our pinned tweet at the Delphi Labs X profile. If you're an investor or a builder and you want to learn more about what we do, please reach out or come find me. Thank you very much.